During World War II, a secret message got through to some American prisoners in a German POW camp and told them that the war was over. But it would be at least 3 days before that word got to their German captors. And during those 3 days, nothing changed in terms of their food, their beds, the lice, and the mistreatment. But their attitude changed from one of despair to one of hope. Why? Because they knew that soon they were going to be released. The Allies had won the war. As we head toward the heat of summer, I want to take a few weeks to focus on stories of Jesus appearing to his followers between his resurrection and his ascension. Some of these people were part of the 12, some of them were not. One of the proofs of his resurrection is how many people saw him in those 40 days following his resurrection. Paul said up to 500 people saw him. But even more amazing were those he left behind whose lives had been completely transformed from despair to hope. Today, we're going to be kind of zooming in on Mary, which is one of my favorite post-resurrection stories. Mary was someone who was always seeking Jesus. She was the one from whom Christ had cast out 7 demons. She was at the tomb. She was among the women who regularly provided for Jesus and his disciples. She was at the cross when he died, at the tomb when he was buried. Mary was one of the first ones back to the tomb on resurrection morning. But she was not celebrating. She was in despair. And that's what makes this such a great transformation story. Here it is from John 20, starting in verse 1. Now, very early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and saw that the stone had been moved away from the entrance. So she went running to Simon Peter and the other disciple whom Jesus loved and told them, "They've taken the Lord from the tomb, and we don't know where they've put him." Then in verses 3 to 10, it kind of outlines what Peter and John did that morning then. So both of them ran to the tomb. John was faster. He got there first, but he just was looking inside. Peter got there then and raced inside. They both went inside. They looked at everything, and then they went home. And John's story here says that John believed. We don't know precisely what he was believing at that moment, but Peter and John left, and Mary is still there in the garden area near the tomb. Verse 11, "But Mary stood outside the tomb weeping. As she wept, she bent down and looked into the tomb, and she saw 2 angels in white sitting where Jesus' body had been lying, one at the head and one at the feet. They said to her, 'Woman, why are you weeping?' Mary replied, 'They have taken my Lord away, and I don't know where they have put him.' When she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, 'Woman, why are you crying? Why are you weeping? Who are you looking for?' Because she thought he was the gardener, she said to him, 'Sir, if you've carried him away, tell me where you've put him, and I will take him.' Jesus said to her, 'Mary.' She turned and said to him in Aramaic, 'Rabboni,' which means teacher. Jesus replied, 'Do not touch me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. Go to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God.' Mary Magdalene came and informed the disciples, 'I have seen the Lord.' And she told them what Jesus had said to her." Mary Magdalene's experience reminds us that perhaps, especially through our grief and confusion and questions, but always, Jesus reveals himself to those who are seeking him. I believe he delights to do that. He reveals himself to those who are seeking. Mary came to the tomb looking for a body. She didn't expect a resurrection. But before she realized what was happening, Jesus was already pursuing her. And that's the first thing that we see here. Jesus pursues. He pursues. In verse 15, Jesus said, "Why are you crying?" And the angels had already asked that. Why are you crying? Why was she crying? Well, I guess pretty obviously, the teacher who had delivered her into freedom had himself been bound and tortured and killed. And now she thought that all was lost. I love that Jesus didn't wait for Mary to figure everything out. He came to her gently and personally. Even though she didn't recognize him at first, Jesus was right there. Her sorrow didn't qualify her. Her lack of understanding didn't qualify her. In fact, it drew his compassionate presence to her. Like a loving shepherd seeking a lost sheep, Jesus comes to us when we don't even know where to look for him and when we can't see clearly. What was Jesus really asking? I think he was asking, what is the most important thing to you right now? What is it that you're believing right now? If you had believed what I said, you wouldn't be feeling the pain and the disappointment and the confusion. What makes you cry these days? Why are you crying? Have you misunderstood what Jesus really came to do? I know that there are some in the world who believe that there never was a body in that tomb, or at least it wasn't Jesus' body, that Jesus never really died. But most all of us in the room know that this was God's plan from before the creation of the world. He knew that he would have to provide a perfect lamb for the sacrifice to take away your sins and mine, not just from the past, but for all time. For many people, life has brought deep losses. Loss of spouse, loss of friends, loss of independence, loss of health. Maybe you're listening today and you are in deep grief from loss. No one knows how sometimes you sob uncontrollably in your bed at night. You're sure that no one can understand what you're feeling. But the one who defeated fear and death is here today. He's now alive and will be forever. And his question still rings in our ears. Why are you crying? He already knows the answer, and Jesus meets us in those very tears. He still pursues us. He still speaks gently into our pain, and he wants to say to you and me, I died for you. I rose for you. I am your hope. I am your help. I know how you feel. My arms are open wide. Jesus reveals himself to those who are seeking him. But Jesus doesn't just come to be near us. He wants us to see clearly. And so he brings perspective to Mary. He brings perspective to us in verses 15 and 16. One question that I've wondered about for years with this story is this. Why did Jesus first appear to Mary? As far as we know from the gospel writings, Jesus apparently first appeared to Mary. Was it just because she was there? Well, she was always around, in the background. Ever since we were introduced to her in Luke 8, we first see her on the scene. She seems to always just be everywhere. This is actually bigger, I think, than most of us realize, especially for that culture. Jesus spoke to women. He taught women. He received support from women who had means. He valued women and men equally. And this attitude was so against the culture of his day, especially the religious culture. But maybe he appeared to her first because she loved him the most. Have you ever thought about that? We would be hard-pressed to find someone in the New Testament who loved Jesus more than Mary. She's likely the one who anointed Jesus and washed his feet with her tears. Jesus' own words were that the person who has been forgiven much loves much. We can only imagine being under the destructive control of 7 demons, but she knew the reality of it and was now free of it. But one thing we know for sure is that this is another picture of God's grace to us. He reaches out to us who have no hope, no future, no power, no sight. Mary was looking for the body of her dead Savior, and Jesus revealed resurrection life to her. He brought hope. But mysteriously, Mary didn't recognize Jesus for a little bit. Why? There could be several reasons, I suppose. I wonder if part of it could have been just the power of expectations. You know how we see what we expect to see, we hear what we expect to hear. Even after the words of the prophets, after Jesus' own predictions, and after angel announcements, she is still expecting to find a dead body. Was Jesus simply hiding his identity from her for a time? I've always imagined that she was feeling such immense grief that she was blinded by that. Have you ever experienced something like that? I'm envisioning her in the garden sobbing huge sobs of grief for the loss that she feels. The tears are flowing, and she sees what she thinks is the gardener, and your eyes are blurry from tears, and you're just feeling the weight of all of this. And so she says, "Sir, if you've taken his body, let me know, so I will come and take him." And so obviously she's not thinking clearly. She's not gonna carry Jesus' body anywhere. But one word was all it took for Mary. Hearing one word brought her from the depths of despair to the heights of glory. Mary. When Jesus calls your name, you know that you are chosen and dearly loved. Jesus said in John 10, verse 3, the doorkeeper opens the door for him, that is the shepherd, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. Isaiah 43:1. Now, this is what the Lord says, the one who created you, O Jacob, and formed you, O Israel. Don't be afraid, for I will protect you. I call you by name. You are mine. We've sung a song several times now, and it fits so well here that I wanted us to sing it again as a part of us locking this in and taking it for ourselves. And it's the song, He Knows My Name. Let's sing it together. I have a maker. He formed my heart before even time began. My life was in His hand. He knows my name. He knows my every thought. He sees each tear that falls and hears me when I call. I have a Father. He calls me His own. when we come to see things as they really are, we find that many of our tears were unnecessary. What do I mean by that? Many of our tears are based on our ignorance. The truth of the matter was that Jesus' body was not missing at all. No one had taken it. He was alive and well. So we need to take care to seek the truth of who he is. Could it be that Jesus is standing right in front of you, but you don't see him? What are you expecting? I'm amazed at how many people, when I talk about my faith in God, see a list of rules, or they see a God that is very, very far away. The expectations that we bring can color what we see. So we must lay aside our preconceived ideas and our expectations. Another question I have for you is this: what are you feeling? I ask that question because of how Mary's emotions seem to have blocked her sight, and emotions can do that. They can keep us from understanding what is true and what is real. Maybe you need to start there and just confess a prayer like, "Dear God, I'm so angry at you for letting me down, and now I don't know where you are." Or a prayer like, "God, my mom hurt me so bad," or "My dad abused me, and now I can't forget that, I can't forgive that, and now I can't find you anywhere." Or, "Jesus, my friend betrayed me, and I just can't let that go, but I can't hear you. I don't hear you speaking. Heal me. Help me to see that you're the sovereign judge who will make everything right one day. Open my eyes, open my ears to truly hear you." Many older adults struggle with what now questions. Jesus brings perspective. Even when life feels uncertain, he still knows your name. He still wants you to recognize his voice through his word, through prayer, even through a brother or sister in the church. Whatever you bring with you today, through the blur of your tears and the fog of your confusion, he brings a clear sound. He wipes it all away when he says your name. He calls your name. So it's perfect that you're listening today, because Jesus has a word for you. He says, "Who are you looking for? Are you looking for a dead body? Are you finding a different set of beliefs and rules? Look at me. I'm alive. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Who are you looking for? Are you searching for God? I'm looking for you. Trust in me, and I will reveal him to you. We are the happiness that you are looking for." Jesus reveals himself to those who are seeking. And he doesn't stop there. He doesn't just comfort and clarify. He also brings purpose. Verses 17 and 18, Jesus said, "Do not touch me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. Go to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene came and informed the disciples, "I have seen the Lord," and she told them what Jesus had said to her. Interestingly, in Matthew's story about this, the women who encountered Jesus seem to be falling down and holding on to his feet in worship. Not much later, Jesus invites Thomas to touch him, touch his scars. What do we do with a seeming inconsistency in Jesus' words and actions when he says, "Do not touch me"? I like what one Bible commentator said. His name is Thomas Constable. He says, the best explanation seems to be that Mary was holding on to Jesus as though she would never let him go. Jesus told her to stop doing that because he was almost ready to disappear permanently. He was going to be going away to his Father. Thomas needed to touch Jesus to strengthen his faith. Mary needed to release him so that she would never lose him. I like that. But then Jesus gives Mary a mission. Go to my brothers. She becomes the first witness of the resurrection. He tells her, go and tell. She came to grieve, but she left with a message. Jesus had spoken of his ascension before in various parts of John. His disciples needed to understand that his death and resurrection had not wiped out these earlier predictions. Jesus sends her to the disciples not just to share that he's alive, but that now there's a new kind of relationship that's been established. Jesus described the Father in a new way, my Father and your Father. He was Jesus' Father, but he was also the disciples' Father. The emphasis here in Jesus' statement seems to be on the privileges that his disciples now shared with him because of his death, resurrection, and his coming ascension. This is another huge statement of grace for us. Remember, these are the men who deserted him 4 days ago. I'm going to my Father and your Father, my God and your God. So Mary goes and finds the disciples. She delivers the message with the exclamation, I have seen the Lord. She quickly was obedient to share the news. Some people tend to get stuck in just the knowing. He knows us and we're getting to know him, and that's amazing and good and wonderful. But there's more to this life than seeking to experience the presence or the feeling of the presence of Jesus. We need to then take that next step of obedience from knowing him to going like Mary did. By going and telling, we can encourage our brothers and sisters, and we can bring others to him. What are some ways that you can go and tell in the hours and days ahead? Be ready to tell of both your experience with Jesus and all that he has taught us to obey. Jesus gives purpose to every season of our lives. No matter your age, your story isn't finished. Maybe your go and tell looks like writing a letter or calling a family member or friend or praying with someone on your street or someone in your community. His great commission to us still stands. And part of the message is that Jesus reveals himself to those who are seeking. He pursues. He brings perspective. He brings purpose. So if you're in a season of waiting or grieving or simply wondering what's next, keep seeking and you will find. Keep asking and he will answer you. Keep knocking and the door will be opened. Keep trusting. He's closer than you think. And when he speaks your name, may you respond like Mary, with joy, with faith, and with a willingness to go wherever he sends you.